Hi, welcome to the next tutorial in Dmod creation. I'm Rob, and right now I'm going to be teaching you how to use choice menus. Now, I was having a hard time deciding on whether to teach choice menus before variables, and I decided to do that because even though there is a needed variable involved in this, it's very straightforward and you don't actually need to know variables yet. So I'm going to be teaching them a few tutorials down the track. So what you first want to do is open the Dmod that we've been creating, as I've just done. And as usual, I'm going to expect that you already know everything I've already taught in the previous tutorials. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to add a choice menu to this green guy. So we're going to right click and press properties, edit the script, and I'm going to put the choice menu right here. So right after they've had their conversation, where random dude says he likes bananas, Dink asks, do you have any cookies? And the green guy says, no, go away, I no longer respect you. And then we're going to have a choice menu pop up. And choice menus are quite, they're very helpful, because let's say you have a whole heap of different conversations or information that you can get from a character in the game, but it's not essential that the player gets this information. So you can have a choice menu come up with a whole heap of different choice lines, and depending on what the player picks, it executes one of those conversations. So the player doesn't have to listen to each conversation, but they can if they want. So that's the advantage of a choice menu. Okay, so I'm actually going to put a wait line right here, just a short, and this is milliseconds, not seconds. So you want to write wait, open bracket, 200, close bracket, semicolon. And while I'm on the topic of the wait command, I'm also going to say that I like to add a wait command in between conversation lines when it's changing from one person to the other. So I'm going to add a wait command after this line, wait 200, because it's changing from Dink, because Dink says this line, to the green guy who says this line. And what the wait command does is it waits that long before it continues reading the script. And if you put it right after a one of these say stop lines, it's actually going to leave the text up on the screen for that little bit longer in case the player doesn't have enough time to read it. But they can still skip it if they like by pressing space, and it still goes to the next line. So that's why I like to add that in. So I'm going to add that between every time it swaps to the other character. So if it was the same character talking, I wouldn't bother adding that wait command in. So if Dink says two lines, one after the other, there wouldn't be a wait command in between those two lines. I just like to have that wait line there, and I like it to be 200. Some people prefer it to be 100, or some people don't have it at all, but I just like to have that there for when it swaps between two different sprites. Okay, so let's add the choice menu after this line right here. Okay, so the first thing you want to write is choice underscore start, open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. Now there is a lot of different things you can do with the choice menu, and I am going to get into those, but I'm going to keep it basic for now, and we're going to add another element in each time we test it out. So to start off with, we're just going to have the choice command there, and straight after choice start, that's when you start writing your options that the player can choose from. So as you can see, I've gone to the next line, and we put quotation marks, and then we write our first option. So I'm going to write, I'm sorry. Although it's not like Dink's character to apologize, but I'm going to write that anyway. And then the second option I'm going to have is, what's your problem? So as you can see, you have to put each one on a different line. And then the next one is, bananas suck. And the last one is leave. It's important to have the leave option there, unless you absolutely need the player to choose those choice commands, in which case I don't know why you'd actually have them there. But leave allows the player to just leave in case, just in case they choose that they don't want to listen to any of these conversations, so they can just leave straight up and not choose any. Okay, and then to finish it off, we go to the next line and we write choice underscore end open bracket close bracket semicolon. I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself here. Okay. Alright, so now we want to write each of these conversations so that the computer knows which conversation to execute depending on which option the player chooses. So let's say the player chooses result, we'll call these results. This is result number 1, result number 2, and result number 3, and result number 4. So let's say the player chooses result number 1, which is I'm sorry. So right down here, we're going to write if space open bracket, the end sign, and result double equals 1 close bracket. Then we're going to go down here and we're going to add an open and close curly brackets. This is an if statement. So the computer's going to see this if statement here, and it's going to say, okay, if the end result equals 1, then do everything in between these brackets. So the computer's only going to do that if the player has chosen result number 1. So if the player chooses result number 2, the computer is going to skip everything in between these brackets. Okay, and as you'll see, I didn't put a semicolon here because this is like a procedure. You don't put a semicolon after the void talk procedure up here, the talk procedure, and you don't put a semicolon after if statements. So with if statements, if it's an if statement or if it's a procedure, it does not have a semicolon. There's probably a few other things as well, but we'll get to those later. Most things in DinkC has a semicolon. It's just those procedures and the if statements. Okay, so now we'll write this conversation for if the player has chosen result number 1. So we're going to write say stop. We're going to say I'm sorry, and Dink's going to say that. So Dink's always referred to as 1. And then I'm going to have the green guy say something, so I'm going to add a wait command here of wait 200 milliseconds. And the green guy is going to say, and you've got to remember to add that color code there because he has the color code number 2. And the green guy is going to say, that's okay, but I dislike cookies. And that's going to be the current sprite that's saying that, because that is the sprite that the script is attached to, which is our green guy. And that's going to be the whole conversation of result number 1. Okay, now let's do result number 2. And I'm just tabbing these in here, because I like to have these indented more so I know it's part of that, just to keep it clean. So, same thing, if and result equals 2, open bracket, close bracket. So this is going to be if the player chooses result number 2. And remember to have that double equals there. So let's write this one. So say stop, and Dink says, what's your problem? That's number 1 because that's Dink. I'm going to have a wait command there, wait 200. And then we're going to have the green guy say, sorry, and we'll leave this open maybe for a quest later. We'll say, sorry, someone stole my banana bag. It's going to be very random. And we're going to have the wait command because it's changing back to Dink. And Dink's going to say, he's going to say, so what? And then the guy's going to come back and he's going to say, and the green guy's going to say, you're just jealous because I'm freaking Donkey Kong. And that's the green guy, so that's current sprite. Let me just tab this out a bit because it's going on to the next line. And we're going to change back to Dink. And we're going to have him say, you're crazy. And that's actually going to be the end of that conversation. So that's a pretty random conversation. And then, so this is result number 1 we've done up here, for if they choose I'm sorry. This is result number 2, which is what's your problem. Now we've got result number 3, which is bananas suck. So let's do that one. So same thing, if and result double equals 3, open bracket, close bracket. And let's do this here. So what we're going to have Dink say is bananas suck. Weight 200 because it's swapping to the green guy talking. And the green guy is going to say, whoops, open bracket, no, you suck. How original. And that's the current sprite and current sprite. Doing a lot of typos here, but I'm fixing them up. Okay, so that's result 1, result 2, and result 3. So you can see how that works. If the player chooses result number 1, it's going to end the choice statement, and then it's going to come down here. It's going to say, it's going to ask if the result equals 1, which it does. It's going to say, okay, so let's do this conversation. And then it'll skip these because it's also got if and result equals 2, which it doesn't, so it's not going to do anything here between these brackets. And if and result equals 3, which it doesn't, so it's not going to do anything here. So you can see how it skips things. If it doesn't, if that if statement is false, it won't actually execute what is in between those brackets. So if the result equals 2, it's going to skip number 1, it's going to execute this if statement, and it's going to skip number 3. That's the way it's going to work. Okay, so as you'll see, there's one more here that we haven't done, and it's leave. Now, we don't actually need to add the if and result equals 4 for that, because if we just leave it, so it's going to go down here, and it's going to skip all these, if and result equals 1, if and result equals 2, if and result equals 3. So let's say the player's chosen leave, the result 4 for that. So it's going to skip this if statement, it's going to skip this if statement, and it's going to skip this if statement. And there is no and result equals 4, so it's going to go straight to this, and it's just going to unfreeze Dink and unfreeze the current sprite as if nothing happened. So we can just leave it like that and it'll be fine. There's no point adding another if statement for the leave, because it'll just skip all these and then unfreeze both sprites. So that's fine just like that. So we're going to save that, and we're going to test this out. And we're going to talk to this guy. Hi, my name is Dink Smallwood. Hi, my name is Random Dude, and I like bananas. Wow, that's cool. Do you have any cookies? No, go away. I no longer respect you. And see, now the choice statement has come up, and we can choose from these different menus. So if we choose result number 1, which is I'm sorry, it's going to execute what we've put in that if statement for if and result equals 1. So we'll pick that, and Dink says I'm sorry, and the green guy goes, that's okay, but I dislike cookies. And I've accidentally just talked to him again. So it'll come back up, and we'll try result number 2. What's your problem? Sorry, someone stole my banana bag. So what? You're just jealous because I'm freaking Donkey Kong. You're crazy. And actually, you'll see I made a mistake there, so we'll go back and fix that in a minute. And you will make a lot of mistakes in scripting, and then you just go back and fix them. You'll see his text is yellow there, it should be green. So we'll go back and fix that in a minute. I forgot to add the color code. And we'll try the third result, which is bananas suck. So it's going to play, if we choose that, it's going to execute result number 3. Bananas suck. No, you suck. And I've also forgot the color code there, but we'll fix that in a minute as well. And then if you choose leave, it's going to skip all those if statements because they're not true, because result equals 4, and it's just going to unfreeze both sprites, and we're going to be fine. So you can see how that works. And if you play around with that, it will become clearer. It's good to go along with these videos as you watch, because if you just watch them, you'll get them all in one clump and it'll just become confusing. Okay, so we need to fix some color codes. So this one right here is by the green guy, and I've forgot to add the color code too. And also the one down here that says no you suck, add the color code too. So let's go back and have a look at that, and that'll work now. Go through those two. So we'll go, what's your problem again? What's your problem? Sorry, someone stole my banana bag. So what? And now his text is green. And if you go to the third result, which is bananas suck, he says no you suck and it's green, so it's fine now. Okay, so that's a basic choice command. Now we're going to get into a few things you can add the choice command to make it more, just make it look better. So what we can do first is we can actually add a title. So what we want to do is after choice start, we're going to write title underscore start, open bracket, close bracket, semicolon. And then you go to the next line, and this doesn't have quotation marks. You simply just write your title. So right here I'm gonna write, what do you want to say? So this is as if it's talking to the player. And then on the next line you write title underscore end. And that's gonna actually have the title above all these options that says what do you want to say. And remember, this one doesn't have a quotation mark, but these ones do. The options have the quotation marks. That can be quite confusing, but you'll get it after a while. I suggest taking notes, and actually when I started scripting, I actually had a notebook and I wrote down what I needed. And so we've got the title, we've got the options. Now if we go and try that out, oops, close that, play, and there should be a title there now. Talk to him. And you can see up there it says what do you want to say, and the title color right now is white, and we can still choose any of these options and they'll work the same way they did before, or we can leave, which is just going to unfreeze both sprites because there's no if statement for result number 4. Okay, so we've made the options, we've made the title. Before I end this tutorial, there is a couple more things I'd like to show to you with choice menus. So we're going to edit this guy's script again. And you'll notice we have here title start and choice start as we've scripted. I'm going to make another line in between those two. And there's another command here. It's set underscore y, and then a space, and then a number. Now, the reason we use this is this command is actually going to set the y coordinate of where this block of choices actually appear on our menu. Now, the reason you need this is there are some rare cases, and it's happened to me, where your title is going to be too long, or there's going to be like too many options that you've got here, and the title text is actually going to overlap with the options. So there's going to be text on other text, and it's going to look all messed up. And the way you make sure that that doesn't happen is you use the set y command to move the choice, the choices or the options that you've made down further, so then the title cannot overlap with them. So I do this in those cases, or sometimes I just do this just to be safe even when it doesn't overlap. So to adjust that, I go set Y space 200. But you can set it to whatever you like, but I find that 200 works well. And then if we save that and go and have a look, you'll see that those choices are down a little bit more. You may not notice that, but if you compare it to earlier in the video, they were more up further than that, but now they're down a bit more. So that just makes sure that that title isn't going to overlap with those choice commands. And then there is one more command, finally, that I'd like to show you before we end this, and that is you can actually change the color of your title, the text color. So we go set underscore title underscore color. Now this isn't the same as the color codes in our usual say commands. It uses a different system. See, up here with the say commands, this uses color codes. This uses the actual font numbers of the colors, and it's, as you'll see from this table that I'm bringing up on the screen right now, it actually goes from 1 to 15. The column on the very left is the numbers you're going to use for your set title color, not the color codes, which is the second column. So when you're setting the title color, look at these, the numbers on the left for the different colors. So you'll see that if we set it to 4, the title color is actually going to be orange. So let's do that right now. We have set title color, and we'll write 4, and this isn't actually working. There we go, I wrote 4. Okay, so we've got set title color 4. Title color should be orange now. And there you go. It says, what do you want to say in orange? So that's all the different things you can do with the choice command for now. There are more you can do, but you need to learn variables first, which we'll be learning later. So we have our choice start, our set Y, which sets the Y coordinate of our options, our set title color, which sets the color of our title text. Then we have our title here, and our options, and depending on which result the player chooses, then it'll play these different conversations, or they'll choose leave, and it'll just skip all this and unfreeze both sprites. And that is how the choice menu works. Play around with it, it'll become a bit more clear. The main things to remember are never put a semicolon after an if statement, because the way you remember that, it's just like a procedure, because it has the curly brackets with the commands in between, or the conversation in this case. And always put double equal sign. One of the most common stuff-ups I see is that people only put one equal sign and it stuffs the whole thing up. It doesn't work and you have to go back and fix it. So that's the main idea of a choice menu. Hope that was clear enough. Just play around with it and it should become clear. Any questions, you post on YouTube under the video, comments, send me a message on the Dink Network or on YouTube, or just simply post a thread on the forums over at the Dink Network. Thanks for watching. New tutorials coming soon. Well, until then, see you later.